I think a lot about God, and I realize something that when people talk about trying to find God, I realize that God's not something that you need to try to find. It's like trying to find oxygen. Um, it's everywhere, right? So the only time you need to look for or struggle for oxygen is when you're in an oxygen deprived environment, right? If you're suffocating. And I realize that you can't have the absence of God because God is everywhere. He is within you, outside of you, above you, below you, around you, next to you. He's every ray of sunshine, every bug, every breath, every drop of water, every song, every sound of laughter, every cloud. And I think sometimes we cloud how we view God. I certainly follow a religion. I have my own personal path, but we complicate it. It's human nature. We complicate everything. The things that are the greatest gifts to us, the things that are most helpful to us, are usually the things that we complicate because we have a struggle believing that we're worthy of them. A lot of us feel unworthy of God. We don't realize it. But God is the good things that happen to us in our life. God is the lessons that we learn. God is the friendships that we have, that we lose. God is the beautiful things that are brought into our lives and the struggles that come into our lives. And I think we forget that. I think we forget the simplicity of it. It's complicated and simple at the same time, right? Like the ocean. The ocean's simple. If you're at the beach, you see the waves, you see the water, but yet the ocean's so deep, we don't know that much about it. We've explored more of space than we have of our own ocean. But we take it for granted. It's there. It's either warm or it's cold. It's rough or it's still. It's blue or it's gray or it's green. Much like God, He's there. Sometimes He's blue or gray or green. Sometimes God presents in ways that are very smooth and peaceful and calm. Sometimes God presents in ways that are rough. And I think sometimes we remember or focus more on the rough than the smooth. Like we remember the days that life was hard or things were hard or difficult, and we kind of focus on that more than anything. And I think that's the metaphor for simple and complicated at the same time. Things that are simple and complicated can be many things. God can be many things, right? Sometimes we're so dependent upon how other people have told us God presents, how ancient texts or philosophers of the past. And then maybe the way that we really find God is not to allow Him to be boxed in like that. Because somebody in the past has described God in a certain way, it usually has created more division, right? People call their God by different names and argue about this rule or that rule. That's humans. That's what human beings do. We're about being divided into tribes, into countries, into nations, into belief systems. I think the finding of God is simple and complicated. It's simple because He's everywhere. and he's available, right? It's complicated because we think too much about it. We spend too much time analyzing and memorizing and arguing instead of just being in his presence, just being. Just being is hard. Most people can't sit still for a minute. I've only been talking for a couple of minutes. Most people have already swiped away because this wasn't a 9-second lip sync or a 5-word quote. But just being. We have such a hard time with that, just being by ourselves. And I think that might be when God really shows himself, shows his face, shows his beauty, shows his simplicity and his complexity in the quiet moments, in the moments where you're alone and you're okay with that. I've come to a place in my life where I love my family, I love my kids, I love my wife, I love every second with them. But I'm okay with being alone. I think I've always been that way. I have a public life, I have a role that I play like many of us, and I do things because I find purpose in them, and I believe that I'm helping and making a difference in what I do. But I find God in the quiet moments. I find God when I'm by myself, when I'm simply being. That's where I think we find him. Too much arguing. If there's even a comment section for this post, and there probably won't be. But even in the comments, people will put in all caps what they feel and shout at me and shout at you and quote things, and instead of just being. B-E-I-N-G, being. That's where I think the presence, that feeling that we all want, of the majestic, of the beautiful, of the miraculous, of the holy, that's where I think it shows its face and shines its light. Just where I'm at right now. Love you.